Today we're in conversation with Bishop Christopher Hill. Bishop Christopher is the Bishop of Guildford in the Church of England and is also the chairman of the Council for Christian Unity. As well as that, Bishop Christopher is one of the vice presidents of the Conference of European Churches. Thank you for being in conversation with us today.
It's good to have you. Good to be here.
We're going to have a conversation about the Church's engagement in the digital age. And I know that you've been doing quite a lot of thinking around our engagement. Could you just say something about what has brought you to the consideration and some of your thinking theologically around that whole set of issues?
Well, anybody who knows me well as a friend or colleague will know that I'm really still in the quill pen era, and therefore the idea that I should have anything to do with digital church or virtual church or anything like that is a little surprising. But of course, I am concerned with the mission of the church as a Christian, as a bishop, and it is clear to me that whole networks of communities actually network digitally in one way or another. That's the sort of the first thing. But in fact, I got into it really through a friend of mine who's a lawyer, whose son was becoming involved in something called Anglicans in Second Life. And the son was just coming up to ordination. Was trained in Durham and was going down to work in the Diocese of Canterbury. And he said to his father, actually, we need a bit of theology here. Now, his father, who was a lawyer, but also a priest, rang me, and I got sort of pulled in from that. What I found deeply moving after, I'm jumping a few chapters now, but we had a meeting of some of those involved in Anglicans in Second Life, which is a virtual cathedral with a virtual congregation and virtual ministers. We had a real meeting around my sort of boardroom table in the bishop's house where we have meetings, and we were linked up to other people through the virtual cathedral. So we had a real meeting and a virtual meeting sort of going on at the same time. Now we were going to pray at the end of it, and I'd intended to go up to my chapel, which is just upstairs, and the little meeting we're going to have a service of Holy Communion. It was suggested to me, and I responded very positively, that actually if we did the communion around the meeting table and allowed all those people who were actually joining in through Anglicans in Second Life, that would be a very good thing. And so although some people were there by avatar, by their digital representation, and some of us were there in real life, actually all of us were there in one way or another, both virtually and really. And to go through the Eucharistic prayer and to hear some amens coming, as we had a sound connection as well, and to see a picture, not of them as they actually are, but what does that mean, actually are? Good question, we might come back to that. But to see them through their avatar in the cathedral, but genuinely joining in a kind of spiritual way, whereas those of us present received the elements of the consecrated bread and wine. That was deeply moving, and so there wasn't just an intellectual interest in my head, theologically, which I do have in this area, but also an existential question of how can we sort of help people who find that a very important way of expressing their Christian faith, worshipping, serving together. So, first of all, the theological interest. Second, in through friends, and we often get into things that way. And thirdly, some kind of experiential stuff, which even surprised me.